Welcome in, Wednesday edition. Blue Sky Live here with you this morning. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studios. We're getting going. We've had our first public sit out due to NIL obligations going on. The UNLV quarterback announcing that on the Twitter machine last night. We got Ole Miss and Kentucky 3 days away. The Rebels 3 days away from their SEC opener, sitting at 4-0, but by far playing their best opponent to date. Kentucky, 2 SEC losses already, a very game effort against the Georgia Bulldogs, and then a blowout loss to South Carolina that was perplexing on a couple fronts, except introduced us a little bit to South Carolina's defensive run in the process. So a lot of stuff coming up for you here today. What's a pretty busy couple days, even with some other sports stuff, baseball, basketball going on here this week around the Ole Miss media environment.
I mean,
it's not the week for it, but we're here and we're doing it, and it is what it is.
It's the part people are like, "What's the interesting part of your job?" And I'm like, "Well, this is one of it." There's a baseball media op today.
Mhm.
There's a basketball media op tomorrow. And there's an obvious question. But we'll dive into it some today because it is reflective of what I believe, and people over there listen to it. So I'll say it. They need to hear it.
I don't know exactly where you're going. Go ahead.
What's wrong with college athletics coverage today? We have created, and they don't even realize that it's this way. It's almost adversarial, and it's an insistence on everything being pack related. Everything being pack related, you can control the messaging that way. There's a fear that we might talk to these people in a different setting, and I don't know where that comes from. You don't see it in the professional sports levels, and I don't know. I'll say again, if you're a young if you're serious about being in sports journalism and you're a young person and you want to enjoy it, now this isn't because what happens in our field more and more, and maybe you'll disagree with this. I don't know. I think more and more people are covering the teams they grew up cheering for.
Oh yeah.
And if that's what you want to do, fine.
Now, some of that is for more proximity based because you're going to the school you cheered for, and then you know more people. Like it's more complicated than simply cheering for that school.
It is, but it basically is that. It's basically that. Like if you ask someone, hey, if they're covering, like say they went to Georgia and they're covering Georgia, would you be this way if you were covering Iowa? And the answer is like, oh, I don't even know that I'd want to do that. Okay, well, then you're just covering, and that's nothing wrong with that. There's a field for that now. But if you're a young person who wants to be in sports journalism, find a way as fast as humanly possible to get on a professional beat. Yeah. Somehow, some way, any professional beat. WNBA, whatever it may be, get on a professional beat. You'll be able to produce much, much higher quality work.
What's the weather situation coming?
There's a storm.
I know when, where. Like
it's supposed to hit Florida Thursday.
Okay.
Helene.
Okay. So we're we're H. So we missed whatever the G one was between Francine and Helene.
I guess so.
Okay.
I don't know what the G.
That one did not.
It must have been more of a Dominican kind of a thing. Okay. Seriously.
Or it just didn't.
Or it didn't.
It didn't make, if you will.
Yeah.
Sorry, Blue Sky locations all over the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well. So check those guys out when they're coming into town this weekend. We appreciate any help there, whichever one you pick. Also with Sweet Daddy's locations all over the state of Mississippi, you can get pulled pork ribs, side items, desserts, and plenty more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He will send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop it around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900 is, again, that number. Guests will join throughout the week on the Campbell Clinic hotline, from fractures to sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions. Pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111. I'm wearing a quarter zip because underneath this I have a T-shirt that is somewhat sweaty.
Oh, okay.
That's the deal.
Are you hot in the quarter zip now because you put it on?
No, I'm okay.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. I did that yesterday. I had gotten done with the workout for the day and had a Zoom and just threw a sweatshirt on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I'm kind of hot right now. This is sort of not pleasant, but it's where we're at as we're doing this. So,
just fighting the fight, trying to keep as many pounds off as is humanly possible. The older I get, the harder it gets, but it's a fight that I fight.
I feel like you're going to lose eventually, but here we are. We're just.
Well, I went out running yesterday. I ran 6 miles. Was in back pain by 2 miles.
Were you really?
I grinded it out.
Your back is what's bothering you now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I fought the fight. Didn't even stop for.
We're about a year away from you announcing another marathon.
No,
we're about a year away.
It's not
You're just
going
to keep going, and
I wish I could. It'd be a cool accomplishment for me, but
you don't think you could hold up?
Nope.
Well, I'm not sure I can, so I get it. We'll start with this UNLV thing.
I think if I had never done it, it might be a different thing.
Well, because you don't know what you don't know.
But yeah,
that's part of it.
I've done it, and I know what's involved, and I know.
I'm at the eternal dread phase of the training at this point, where every Friday I'm just in my head going, I'm not sleeping on Thursdays.
I've been there.
I'm not sleeping. I'm like, it's not physical, it's mental. I am dreading the mental of just sitting here and running for 3 freaking hours.
I did my runs on the long runs on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
My schedule was 2 days different than yours.
Okay.
And so I can remember covering football games on Saturday just with the sheer dread of what's tomorrow.
My watch is telling me that Thursday nights I'm sleeping far worse than any other night of the week, which wouldn't typically be the case because Friday is at least supposed to be our lighter day.
And so you're dreading.
I'm dreading. Yeah. And I'm going, hey, you got to sleep. Got to get sleep. Got to go. Got to go. But we're getting done with hand raise guys, and I got to eat. I'm a little wired, and takes a minute. And I'd be screwed if we were doing 7 p.m.s. Because coming off of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have a hard time.
I can remember. I don't remember who played, but I would do my long runs on a treadmill for the practicing the hydration.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember which NFL game it was, but it was and ended up being a really compelling, interesting NFL game. I started running right at kickoff, noon. And I ran until 3:10 is when I finished. It was the 20-mile run. And I wanted to reach and hug the TV on the thing. Like, thank you guys. Like it was like God going, hey, I know you don't want to do this, but you got to do it. And I'm going to give you a really good game.
Yeah. And
it was a great game. And I remember there were times when I was so into the game that I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing.
That's a good point. Because, Duke 9, Northwestern 6, and you're going, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Well, and when you're staring at the screen, it goes 13.1, 13.2. This was like you looked up and you were – because I was having to do, reset it every hour. So I was getting like 6.5 miles on every hour. And I'd look up and I'd gone from 2 miles to 4 miles. I'm like, oh, great. I missed 20 minutes. It was just a fantastic game. And I remember loving whoever sent that to me.
And like I said, we'll probably do like a podcast about this right before time. I know nobody cares, so I'm going to get off the running thing. But yeah, I'm finding myself even doing it now is I'll literally be starting the run and in the first like 90 seconds go, well, I mean, I've only got to do that 100 times. But you go, that's 1 of 100, 2 of 100, 3 of 100. Like you're doing anything in your mind to bargain it as you're going. And
I can remember getting to the 24-mile mark in Chicago and going, the thought that went through my mind was, think about how many times you've run 2.2 miles.
That's it.
Think about how many times you've run 2.2 miles.
So just do that.
Yeah, just do that. And then there was a little voice in the back of my head that was, yeah, you've never done that after you've run 24, dumbass. But the other one fighting me was like, just think, you're starting at 0. Think of how many times you've just gone out and run 2.2 miles. This is nothing.
I know you're really upset that Coke has discontinued their spiced Coke flavor. I know it probably was a big thing around your household.
I'm today years old when I found out there was one.
Well, I saw it in a convenience store couple months back, and I'm not much of a soft drink person, but I was curious because I didn't even know what flavor it was. So the marketing clearly was not hitting either my demographic or anyone, because when I'm staring at it, I'm pulling up the can going, what is it? Is it spicy? Is it not? And they say that was actually the death knell for them. It is a raspberry flavored Coke, is what it has been. It was introduced as a permanent part of their lineup moving forward, but they have now discontinued it already, saying that it simply was not attracting anyone to its situation. Because they've been doing a lot of limited time offerings. I saw in the store the other day they have an Oreo flavored soda, so you wonder why we're obese. There's an Oreo flavored Coke going on right now, apparently.
I don't wonder why we're obese.
Okay. And then they had
we're obese intentionally.
And then they had a bunch of the, like, nobody really knows what flavor it is, but they exist. It's like Dream World, Starlight, things like that. And it's like, yeah, but what the hell is it? They've also discontinued Diet Coke with Splenda and some sort of cherry vanilla Coke thing. I don't know. But those have all been going on here in the what I found. Reason I mentioned this, I found this somewhat fascinating because I don't go in a lot of fast food places that are going to have the big freestyle machines, but they are neat. I understand the concept of them. And when I was ordering my diet root beer that day, I was kind of looking through and seeing what all my options are. This spice was invented because a large number of people used the freestyle machine and were putting raspberry flavoring in their Coke. It had become a really predominant alteration of their Coke when they were buying it. So that's what happened. Is they said that it was selected more than 5 million times in 2022.
Wow.
In freestyle machines.
Wow.
Raspberry would never be where I went. Like maybe cherry, obviously, maybe even strawberry, depending on what it is. But because, like, who has raspberry as their favorite fruit? Like, I would assume very few people go. Tell you what, I love some raspberry. Because it's less than even I would think blackberry or blueberry in the berry family, and obviously strawberries.
I think
way out ahead.
I think Carson might be one of those people.
Raspberries, really?
I think that's his favorite fruit.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I could yell at him right now, but he'd get so pissed off. Yeah, like I think he eats raspberries by like the bucketful.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind them, but it's not what goes through my head. It says grape Dasani. Haven't had that. The Oreo Coke tastes like the Coke chapstick when we were kids. They're so bad. Okay.
Yeah, I would think anything that tasted like chapstick would not be good in liquid form.
Yeah, blue raspberry is a very popular snow cone flavor. That is true.
That's true.
Anyway, I'm done.
Although blue raspberry probably has no raspberry in it at all.
I was just really surprised by the freestyle part of that. That was actually what I was trying to get to. So anyway, all right. So I saw in the middle of the night, had a little bit of tough time sleeping. Woke up, picked up my phone, saw the UNLV starting quarterback has decided to sit out the rest of the season after, quote, certain representations, end quote, were not upheld after he enrolled, meaning he either didn't get paid or he just thinks he can get paid more, one or the other. I don't know. They wouldn't renegotiate. I don't know the exact terms of it. My guess is they simply didn't pay him.
I read it as he had agreed to terms. They weren't fulfilling their terms.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's where I would go here. But since they have only played 3 games, they're 3-0. They're ranked. They're getting votes in the AP Top 25, so they're technically one of the top 30 teams in the country per the AP. They're still very much a candidate to be the Group of 5 playoff team, especially after Memphis's loss. And Barry Odom suddenly needs another quarterback, which he was already the backup from before. The starter got hurt or left or did something. And then now this guy is out as well. He writes on social media, I've decided to utilize my redshirt year and will not be playing any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of the program. He has 1 year remaining in his eligibility.
Well, there's a lot here.
Go ahead.
Again, this is kudos to Lane Kiffin, who has stopped calling it pro sports. Because in pro sports, you have a contract. You sign the shortstop for $10 million, and the shortstop sucks, he still gets $10 million. there are a lot of promises that get made in the NIL space. And then when the kid wants the money, it's not there.
Yep.
That's happening all over the place. And I can think of at least two examples off the top of my head, one in the Big Ten and one in the SEC, where it got down to the nitty-gritty on a payday and kids were threatening to walk out. So this is where we are. If you make it all about money, and that's where we're headed, it's going to become all about money. And this kid has no affiliation with UNLV. He's a hired contractor, and let's say they hired him for $20,000 and he's only getting 10. I don't blame him for walking out. Now, it's a terrible look. I talked to someone, hell, it might have just been Siskey. I don't remember who it was who was like, yeah, UNLV has no money. Well, then don't promise money. But if you don't promise money, you can't get players. So a lot of these.
So you think they promised it and then something fell through?
It's happening everywhere, Chase.
To the point that I don't know that people realize even really, really successful collectives are only operating in about a 45 to 60-day window. They are constantly needing replenishment every 45 to 60 days.
Yeah, they're promising money that they think they'll have.
Yeah, they're promising on pledges.
Yes. Well, remember the Jerry Lewis telethon?
I do, yes.
They would have all these pledges.
Big number on the screen.
Big number on the screen. But in the reality, the real number was about half of that. That's happening in collectives. People are making a donation, and all you have to do to cut it off is change your credit card. Cancel it's not difficult. And so you like you said, you're always 30, 45, 60 days ahead, and that's it.
Now, I haven't seen this. Fallon's correct. I actually am really siding with the school here. He says they're saying UNLV fulfilled the initial obligation. Parents met with agent after wins and agreed market price was wrong.
Well, that's, again, we're back into pro sports.
Yeah. The renegotiation inside the season is ludicrous.
Hold on. Quinchon's on the phone.
Yeah,
I need to take that call.
I know.
His mom. If I don't take his call, the mom's going to call right after, and I don't want to go there.
I know.
It's why you need to have contracts that have published terms. Needs transparency.
Because it helps the school, too. Like I saw Midwinter, who does a ton of NIL attorney speak. He tweets this morning, lots of unfulfilled NIL promises being made to college athletes to get them to commit. Athletes need to insist on signing contracts when they commit before they get to campus. Also, an example of why athletes need good representation in collective bargaining is coming. It works both ways, though, because in this situation...
Everybody says that, but how?
In this situation, it goes the other way. It's if the kid has agreed to a freaking number for the season, that is the freaking number.
Put a contract down.
Yes.
Have a contract. Dansby Swanson makes $17 million.
What's the problem? None of the contracts are actually binding in any way. They still keep talking about one standard contract and who is writing it and where is it. It's just up in the ether somewhere.
If you want to fix this, there is a way to do it, but it's a painful way. And it takes all of the amateurism stuff that some people love, and it just sets it completely on. And when I say on fire, a burning in where you look at it and go, ain't nothing to salvage from that, right? That's where this is headed. Again, like if you sign a shortstop for $10 million, okay, and he goes off and has an MVP level season, he doesn't get to come to you in July and go, hey, listen, I'm putting up numbers that should pay me $30 million. So, and if you don't pay me $30, no, that's the deal. Now he might go, hey, can we negotiate a long-term deal? Sure. But that's what you agreed to for that year, and it's published, and you've agreed to it. That's where they need to go. They need to have contracts that are absolutely ironclad both ways, where the school can't, hey, you didn't live up to it. Nope. Or where the kid goes, I want more. No, I'm holding you hostage in the middle of the year.
And it's also, because look, every school right now is having to figure out how far their collectives are going to be put under their umbrellas or their foundations and all these things. It's happening all over the country on how that works. The funny part of this, again, assuming this is correct, that he got an agent got with him and said, nope, he's worth more. Pay him now or he's leaving and going somewhere else and sitting out. Frankly, thinking he had the leverage because UNLV is having a very successful season under Barry Odom. The one thing that the NCAA probably could actually have a fight to get you killed in this era is obvious in-season pay-for-play incentives. Because, look, it's all pay-for-play, don't get me wrong, but we can do at least some semblance of the song and dance when it's in the off-season. When you play 4 weeks and suddenly your team's 4-0 and we go, no, we're going to bump you from 10,000 to 40,000, that's the one area where the NCAA actually could get you. Because that is documented straight adjustments based off performance with no devil's advocate built into it.
You could build performance incentives into a contract.
If the NCAA will back off. Because that's the one thing that has been very consistent.
Then they need to break away from the NCAA because before you can collectively bargain, they're going to have to unionize. I mean, and Ross in the stream says he's basically tired of everything being about NIL, but it's all about NIL right now. I promise if you talk to a college football coach today about work, he's going to talk more about NIL than he's going to talk about X's and O's. Because right now it's just in the middle of this season right now for everybody. It's tampering season. You got people in your building that are scouting other players.
It is fascinating that the teams like Ole Miss to this point and others that are so portal heavy have pretty good continuity and chemistry. It's almost damn near impossible.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's almost damn near
probably
impossible.
Year over year, it is impossible.
Well, you're going to have the year.
Yeah.
It's just human.
Yeah.
Not every NFL general manager hits 100. You're not going to hit 100 either. You're going to.
Ole Miss had that year 2 years ago.
Yeah. The goal would be to take every time. Look, it's going to happen bad occasionally. Try to minimize the number of years that happens and learn from it best you can. But some of it is just freaking human nature, and there's nothing you can do about it.
100%.
So. Because, look, if Ole Miss wins the national title this year or gets to the finals or the semifinals or whatever is deemed successful on this national level, the story is going to be how they took a portal class and had chemistry and got there. That is going to be 1A, 1B, 1C.
It will be, and
it'll be a little wrong because of Dart and other guys.
I'll be the one of the people really correcting it with, no, you had a 3-year quarterback as one of your leaders. You had a 3-year defensive tackle from Oxford as one of your leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You had a 3-year defensive end transferred from Georgia Tech, who's an incredibly intelligent, charismatic kid.
You had a good offensive line, baseline that was homegrown.
Yeah. You had – they struck –
technically Parrish is homegrown.
They
even
struck
though he left
gold in Trey Harris. Lane even admitted that Harris is better than what they thought he was going to be. This is what, Jordan Watkins' 3rd year?
Mm-hmm.
You have a 3rd-year slot receiver who everybody has immense respect for. I mean, the whole narrative that, boy, they just put these 1-year guys together and it took off is total BS.
They've done a great job with multi-year guys. Neal thinks Trey Harris is probably the best dunker on the team, I think.
No question.
I think he disagreed with Lane's
Henry
sentiment.
Parrish said that yesterday, too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So Henry and I are in agreement.
Even though Lane said Henry was? Although Lane didn't say best. Lane said he thought Henry got a lot out of smaller size.
I mean,
when you break down the...
I don't want to even go back and parse those words. Lane tried to put the crown on Henry's head, and Henry rightly said, no, it's not my crown, and gave it to Trey.
Really?
And I agree with Trey. And I mean, I agree with...
you think Trey could hoop?
That would be my guess.
You think Trey could hoop?
Yeah, and I don't think Henry would be a great basketball player.
Okay.
And Henry is easily one of my favorite players
in the history of the world. Michael Katz asked Jared Ivey during local media day back in August who his 5 would be on the basketball court, and I'm pretty sure he named Trey Harris in his 5.
Yeah.
I was standing there when he asked the question. I'm pretty sure.
It's Trey, Brandon Turnage.
He might have had Centurion in there, maybe.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Serious hops.
Oh.
And then I don't know who your bigs would be.
Oh, you think Turnage is one of the 5? Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jaden Williams is a really good basketball player.
Oh, he has good feet. Played wide receiver.
It's either him or Micah.
Really?
I think it's Jaden.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. Not on the road you want to go down today?
Not today.
Okay. Sorry.
I mean, we can, but no. I mean, that feels like an open date. Everything's going awesome. Hey, if you got basketball season starting,
Yeah.
who would be the 5 guys on your team that would be a good
Yeah.
basketball team story?
Okay. All right.
That could easily happen.
We'll continue football in a second. First, you've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce. You had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only a Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
We'll have a hand raise, guys, tomorrow. Brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great people, products, and services. If you're in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, that area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Memphis, Hernando, South Haven, North Mississippi, call Southern, 662-429-4429. I'll have a post-game column from Kentucky-Ole Miss on Saturday afternoon. It's brought to you by Window Hero. From window cleaning to pressure washing, gutter cleaning, gutter guards, everything in between. Window Hero has the experience, equipment, and expertise to make your property look and feel brand new. If you're in North Mississippi, let Window Hero make your home or business's exterior look amazing. Their experts are fully bonded and insured. Window Hero provides specialized equipment, exclusive cleaning solutions, a satisfaction guarantee, and they can clean up to 4 stories on buildings. So give them a call, 662-510-7077. to get an estimate or learn more at windowhero.com. Don't forget, on Saturday, if you come into the game, stop by the Dead Soxy pop-up. It'll be between the Pavilion and Vaught Hemingway Stadium. They'll have some offerings. You can also check out their sockscription service. You can get the latest Ole Miss socks before anyone else, the best socks you'll put on your feet. Stop by, say hi to the crew, leave with the best socks in the game from Dead Soxy. Ole Miss grads Hunter and Mimi Simpson form Southern Q Sauce Craft Barbecue Sauce. Southern Q is crafted by hand in small batches to capture that tangy, sweet, smoky taste with just enough heat. They also have a variety of rubs, Old Faithful, Honey Pecan, the Longhorn, and more. Whether you're a professional pitmaster or an occasional backyard chef, Southern Q Sauce has the sauces and rubs to have your friends and family coming back for more. Check it out for yourself, southernqsauce.com. Use the discount code Rebel Grove for 15% off your order. I have an MPW digital extra to you tomorrow that's brought to you by Rustic Revivals, based out of Flowood, Mississippi. Rustic Revivals builds tables, other furniture by hand, locally sourced lumber. The husband and wife team of Josh and Ashley Pierce specialize in custom-ordered tables, beds, dressers, coffee tables, bookshelves, decorative cabinets, chairs, and more. They have a limited selection of ready-for-pickup pieces available in their shop as well. They deliver within 250 miles of Flowood. All pieces are sealed for protection. You really should check them out. RusticRevivals.com. I'm sorry, RusticRevivalsMS.com. Rustic Revivals on Instagram. They have beautiful furniture that's absolutely fantastic. You get 10% off if you use the code REBELS10. That's REBELS10. You can also order directly by calling 228-217-1243, or you can email them at rusticrevivals@gmail.com.
So, I guess last thing on this UNLV thing, say this happens in a major program, is that a tipping point for change in any way? Or are we just still running down the road and running off and into every pothole? And
I mean, I just don't know how you fix it. I mean, I really don't. Without some sort of a structured divisional break-off, where you have this is the pro space and this is the amateur space, and they don't compete against each other.
Jack's All Trades, thanks for your 10th super chat. Appreciate you for that. As Neal's more excited for touchdowns or dunks. I'm sure dunks. Definitely dunks. Does your pulse go up more off touchdowns or dunks, Mr. McCready?
My pulse?
Uh-huh.
I think my pulse is pretty flat.
Is it?
Yep.
Well, let me flat. We need to.
I mean, now when Jalen Williams starts dunking, different deal.
Which one? Arkansas or Santa Clara?
Santa Clara.
Okay.
I mean, I'm good with the one from Arkansas dunking too, but the one that gets me excited is the one from Santa Clara.
He's better.
He's a stud.
Is he?
Yeah. He's a potential All-NBA player. Jalen Williams from Arkansas is a example of a person who's maximizing his potential, literally getting the absolute most out of himself to become a backup NBA big.
Backhanded compliment.
No, it's legitimate. I mean, little undersized, absolutely maximizing his professional potential. Did you know the Thunder have 2 kids who played at the same high school on the same team? Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams both went to whatever school that is in Fort Smith. Pretty remarkable. Not only 2 NBA players, but 2 NBA players who are on the same NBA team from the same high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty impressive.
So, a couple things from your mailbag, a couple from 5 questions. Well, both those up at rebelgrove.com. You exchanged questions with Justin Rowland of Cats Illustrated. Is that correct?
I did.
Cats Illustrated.
Yeah.
I saw Justin didn't give a prediction, but he said what a Kentucky upset would look like. He bailed off the second half of your question there. On
I
the
think it's
prediction
because
piece.
they do predictions later in the week.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't criticizing.
Yeah.
Just noticed.
By the way,
that
that's up today, right?
Yes, those are up today. You asked the very pressing questions like uniforms and why Kentucky does what they do.
I pointed out
black
that it was
and chrome, and
I pointed out it was a superfluous question.
That's fine.
It was an add-on.
He gave a thorough answer to your question. I'm gonna get there in a minute.
Okay,
but you gave a very good answer to something that I thought was interesting in the mailbag, asking about Brian and I's podcast a couple weeks ago with Ole Miss, and
I stressed out about this answer. I was afraid.
Did you really?
I was afraid I was going to hurt people's feelings. And
So
I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I was making sure that I didn't insult you, him, or me.
So
because I didn't want to insult me either.
As I was
trying
reading
to be fair.
it's more of, I think, a little bit of a misunderstanding on at least what I meant in the time, and I think it's relevant, especially on a Wednesday when we don't have a ton to talk about as the rest of the week goes on. So the question was it was the second part of a question. First part was about Trey Harris, I believe. If I have that correct.
Is there a scenario where both Trey and Jackson Dart are in New York for the Heisman? And I was like, I don't think so.
It's one or the other.
I mean,
and it's Jackson.
It would be Jackson.
Because Trey can't score without Jackson.
And Trey would be in a world where they both put up those numbers, Trey would win the Biletnikoff.
He would. He leads the conference by like 350 receiving yards or something now.
It's not even close. Right.
I mean, Dart leads the SEC passing by 300 yards or something. It's.
I mean, Dart has.
He leads the country actually by over 100.
More yards through 4 games than any SEC quarterback ever. It's like slightly more than Joe Burrow in 2019, which
that's rarefied error there.
It is. Let's just. I'm kind of like Lane on this. Is where Lane's like, hey, pump the brakes.
It's that GIF where he goes, ease up, slow
up.
down.
Let's just see. Doesn't mean it won't happen. But
when he goes for 340 against Kentucky and 360 against South Carolina, you look up and go, I'll be down.
Well, then you'll have you'll have
go.
the conversation. But right now, it feels a little premature.
Ole Miss would beat the hell out of the Sun Belt. They would win that league. I mean, just
100%
going away.
They would kill it.
What they do to South Dakota in the FCS playoffs would be obscene.
But it's one of the things that kind of pisses me off a little, if I'm honest. And because like Lane says that, and everybody's like, oh, okay. And then someone like me goes, hey, can we just see a couple of games? They're like, oh, you're negative. I'm like, no, I'm not being negative. I just kind of want to see a couple of games. I do know the teams that they've played have sucked. Now, I think they're elite. I put them at number 4 in my, if I had a poll.
You did.
That's where they would be.
You put them 4 nationally and 3rd in the SEC, if I have that correct.
That's correct. So I'm giving them a lot of respect.
Mm-hmm.
But before I just go nutty and go, yeah, they're going undefeated, I'd like to see a couple of SEC games.
You need a minute.
I don't think that's a big ask.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So the question part was Chase and Rippey did a podcast a few weeks ago. The title was, do you recognize this Ole Miss program? I posed that question to you. Is it hard to recognize the program for you? Talking to Neal, obviously. I know it's a job for you, but you've seen it through such valleys. I'd love to hear perspectives on the highs and lows of the program in the last 17 years. Thanks for all the coverage. The first part of that is that sometimes I pick titles that I think are going to get views more than they were the absolute necessity of whatever the show was that day.
Yeah, I had not listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
You're coming in blind.
I was coming in pretty blind. And so I was even more careful than I even otherwise would have been.
And Neal gave an answer where it's very true. He's covered a lot of other programs, covered the SEC as a whole, and I've been very inundated in Ole Miss since my professional career began in let's call it 2005 for lack of a exact time for that. But my answer was not really based off emotion, or I guess it's what I hear probably because I do. Where Neal is completely correct is I get inundated with a lot of text messages. I get inundated with a lot of opinions, and in some ways, it's almost kind of like the message board is people vent to you or give you the negative or give you what they're worried about more than the, hey, wow, that was just an awesome play. I get that from some people, but that's not the majority. A lot of times it's, hey, Chase, can you please tell me it's going to be okay? Can you tell me it's going to be all right? Can you give me some whatever here? And I'm pretty good about, for the most part, ignoring it during games because I'm busy and trying to focus. I'm not texting throughout games. But when I say I don't recognize this Ole Miss program, because I think I said that. I think that was where I took it from, was I did say that over the course of the podcast. It's just based off Ole Miss against itself with how it is run as a program. And my basis on this is a couple different things. For the longest time, and I hope I'm not insulting anybody that I don't mean to insult here, and I'm probably am insulting some people. That
I'm gonna link the mailbag now so people can kind of.
So,
if you're not a subscriber, this would be a good time to subscribe.
Is it a premium content item?
It is.
Is it?
It needs to be.
It is.
We joke about it all the time, but I mean, it's truly $9 a month. If you think about how many things are $9 a month that you just throw money for. Something came out of my account today for $6 a month, and I looked at it. I was like, I don't even know what that is. And then after a minute, I realized what it was.
I did a deep dive on all. I'm not losing my train of thought. I'm going to go back. I did a deep dive on everything I was paying for in a month the other day.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
there's stuff I haven't even realized I have paid for in years. Where you went, wow, they've been taking $4.99 out every single month for something that I had no bearing on. It was remarkable, but I've been around professionally since, like I said, let's call it 2005, something like that. And obviously, whatever beforehand is fan, student, whatever. Ole Miss, for the longest time, was not run like a high-end SEC program. It was run small time in a lot of ways. They did not believe that the expectations were nationally competitive in the modern era. You saw that even through, I think there was probably the wing and the prayer through Orgeron, but I mean, he was incapable of that. It was poorly done. It was poorly done by the people that hired him. Houston Nutt never thought he could win big at Ole Miss, ever.
Agreed.
Never tried to win big at Ole Miss. He thought he could win 7 or 8 games and ride off into the sunset and make sure he beat State every time because he had beaten State every damn time when he was at Arkansas.
Yeah, I think in fairness to Houston, wow, words I don't say often.
Yeah.
I think he not only didn't believe he could win big at Ole Miss, but I think he believed that the administration at Ole Miss had no real desire to win big. And you know what? I think he's right. In fairness to him, I think he's right. I don't think that administration was passionate about being nationally competitive.
Yeah.
I don't. They can come back at me and tell me I'm wrong. I don't believe that group was as driven as this group is to truly be as
success was deemed at 7.5 wins, 8 wins. If you get more than that, awesome.
In fairness to Houston, I said it twice in one show. Back-to-back Cotton Bowls was a hell of an accomplishment at Ole Miss. And there were people at Ole Miss who viewed that probably as the ceiling.
There was a book written off Eli's 10-3 season that went to the Cotton Bowl. Yeah. That lost to Texas Tech and Memphis.
And so, Houston Nutt took Ole Miss in 08 and 09 to back-to-back Cotton Bowls, and I think he was shocked in 2010 when it went badly, and people were like, hey, man, what's the deal?
And then Hugh Freeze did 2 things for Ole Miss. He wanted a high enough clip to make people hungry and ready for national success by getting them to exit polls, getting the recruiting class. Ole Miss was able to pierce that segment of the country from an elite standpoint, top-tier standpoint, however you want to phrase it, in that segment of time to where people went, wow, this is cool, this is fun, this is what we want to do. This is neat, we haven't had this, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then the other thing he told Ole Miss is he did it without being 100% efficient. The staff wasn't very good at times. Staff was bad at certain positions recruiting at times. They hung on to guys too long at times in the recruiting process, which wasn't efficient in that standpoint. had some weird stuff in gameplay, lost games they weren't supposed to, and you looked up and went, I'd be damned, they won 9 games, they won 10 games, whatever the hell it was, and yet it wasn't perfect. It wasn't elite, and you went, well, if he did that, Ole Miss has another gear here. This is possible. That's Hugh Freeze's legacy in a positive way, is that you looked up and went, wow, he did something that's pretty cool without being that great.
It's one of the things I'll give myself credit for. You too, I guess. I don't remember exactly who all said it. I know I did. I think you probably did too. I gave them credit for, I said at the time, this is happening and they're not particularly organized.
Yeah, they made a lot out of not being this machine when it comes.
Not at all.
And
there was a lot of personal stuff. There was, and I don't mean the off the field stuff. I mean, I think one of Hugh's limitations is that he doesn't really like to surround himself with people who are smarter than him. And like, I'll give Kiffin this. I give Saban this. I think you give Pete Carroll this. I think you give a lot of elite coaches have this in common. They are not afraid to hire people on their staff who are past or future head coaches.
Yes.
They're not afraid to hire people on their staff who are very strong, and in some cases stronger than them. Like, I don't think Lane has any problem at all, and he might have years ago, but he doesn't now, hiring people who in some ways do certain things better than he does.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point here in the stream. Hugh has a very small coaching tree. There's not a bunch of limbs suddenly popping off that coaching tree.
And look at Saban's.
Yeah.
And people always point out the failures on Saban's. Okay, fine. But then you got to point out the successes. I mean, wow.
So then they go into this NCAA tailspin, become half of what became a joke on Thanksgiving, if we're just being really honest with ourselves, with Mississippi State, is that they were the country's circus act on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to pour their bourbon and eat their second piece of pie and watch the sideshow that is the Egg Bowl with no national implications.
No, it might be a fight.
There for a few years.
Yeah.
You have all the peeing in the end zones and whatnot and all that stuff.
Sure.
And I wrote a column maybe in 2019. I don't remember. And it was under Matt's tenure that I went, the number one thing Matt did that's very successful right now is they made Ole Miss into a boring but a normal program.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a positive compared to where it had been, is that they were just simply a program.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't just simply been a program in 5 years at that point. So then Kiffin takes over, and that was complicated. It took some gump to hire him to get there. There's a lot there.
There's a lot there.
Yeah. It's a book chapter. There's a lot there.
Yeah, when you write the book, I expect a good chapter there.
A good flowing chapter there.
I mean, by then I'll probably be long gone. But I want to hear that. Yeah, that chapter.
Yeah,
that chapter was good.
That was revealing. That was good.
That chapter was good to you.
So, as it's grown
that was a
now,
week. That was a week.
It's grown to the point that, with all we just said, the fact that Ole Miss is being very efficient in collectives, that they're doing a good job pound for pound in their collective versus what they have capable and how small of a school it is.
Mm-hmm.
That you've got Kiffin becoming this, not just social media guy, but one of their main smart proponents on a national level of discussing major issues.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a team that's 24-2 at home in their last 26. That was unfathomable at any other point in the modern era from Ole Miss football.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all these different things going. You got this portal, this really efficient, this really kind of front-facing thing. And then you've got a national level of confidence in your program that with analysts, you've got Joe Judge and Zach Arnett and Lou Spanos and all those different guys who wouldn't have considered Ole Miss in any other era as the way to reclaim their careers or learn something or whatever it is they're trying to accomplish in this environment. When you put all that stuff together, no, this program is not recognizable from any point of its past in any way. Sure, the record might only be 1 or 2 games different than where their peaks were, but from a sustainability and a program-wide scenario of what all is going right and how efficient of a machine is currently happening relative to any other time in the past, that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah,
like it is every part of it where you look up and go, I've been doing this 20 years, and it's light years ahead of any other time period, short or tall.
Yeah, you can read my whole answer at rebelgrove.com, and I put a lot of thought into it. Actually wrote it, slept on it, came back and amended some things this morning because I was so concerned about it. Yeah, I wasn't insulting. I certainly hope you
Yeah,
didn't.
no,
You didn't take it that way. I just have such a completely different exposure to it. I covered LSU and basically as a beat writer. I mean, I was basically a beat writer in 2003 when LSU won the national championship. I've been around elite Auburn teams, elite Alabama teams. When I covered the league as a whole, of course, I covered the SEC championship every year. I saw the best teams. My perspective on this team is that, they remind me of some of those teams. Now, they haven't beaten good teams yet, and we'll see. But just that's kind of what I'm and I don't think I do a lot of the historical stuff. I don't really think that way. I'm not very good at that. I don't do a lot of that. I don't think about it. But I don't come home. My phone's not blowing up the way yours is, right? I'm not getting the whole wait, is that the first sign that the sky is falling stuff that I think people do? And I don't get all that. I mean, I'll sit in the press box, and I wrote this in a previous answer. My exposure on game day is very quiet. It's very sterile.
Mm-hmm.
I wear AirPods.
Do you leave them in now during the game?
Pretty much. Most everybody does. I don't really talk to anybody. I mean, I had literally the other day, Georgia Southern, I had a 10-second conversation with Michael Katz where we were trying to figure something out about whether somebody was dressed or not. Chris Burrows, who's a super nice guy, talked to me a couple of times. I talked to a couple of NFL people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Other than that, it was just silence, I mean, and so it's a completely different, and I'll turn my phone off sometimes in the press box. Like, if people start hitting me, I'll just I'm turning this off. I'm not doing this right now. And so it's just a completely different exposure to it. And my thought process, especially in blowouts, is how fast can I get done?
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about that. And then when I come home, I don't come home to it. You know what I mean? So there's a difference. And so for me, it's like I don't really think about it that way. And I've always just kind of looked at Ole Miss like any other SEC program, where when they sucked, there was a reason they sucked. And when they won, there was a reason they won. And I wrote this in the thing. I mean, I watched Dan Mullen take Mississippi State to essentially the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I watched James Franklin win 9 games at
2 years in a row
at Vanderbilt. I'm a believer that if you do it right and you get the right players and you catch a break or two, you'll win. When LSU won the national championship that year, I didn't look at it and go, the only reason they're doing this because they did it because there was Nick Saban and they were immensely talented, and that staff had Jimbo Fisher and oh God,
who are we thinking about? The LSU staff?
Yeah, he's now at Georgia's coordinator. I don't know what, Will Muschamp.
Yeah.
That they had that staff was elite. It was full of good coaches. It was full of good players. It was a really talented team that they won because they were super talented. They won because they were very efficient. The Florida teams with Tebow and stuff, those were really talented teams. I guess I just kind of look at it that way. I'm not surrounded by it the way you are, which is weird. I've lived here 17 years, but I'm not. I'm not engrossed in it the way you are.
And I think that's the point, though, is that you recognize SEC teams that simply either have it right then or they don't have it right then. And in the last 20 years, or really since Johnny Vaught, Ole Miss has never had sustainability throughout the program to be able to achieve that. Because it goes up into the chancellor and the AD too.
Well, 100%. I mean,
Glenn Boyce gets a ton of credit in areas that probably are a little bit of keys, but then he probably doesn't get all the credit he deserves in a lot of areas too. In this, it is a complicated thing there, and there's a reason Lane has a clause in his contract that his terms change if Keith and Glenn are gone. It's literally in Lane's contract.
Yes.
Where he goes, I'm good here, these people.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll have to figure that out.
Otherwise,
in the contract,
he'll go someplace else where he feels like they protect him, or he'll go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? People do a lot of the, Kiffin stuff about Ole Miss, and I have to I do some national stuff where I'm like, look, they've done it goes beyond Landry and his family and stuff. I mean, people move all the time. You know what I mean?
It's Neal's favorite thing. There's houses there too.
Hey, he's building a new house. Okay, so he couldn't build a new house in another place? The man's a multimillionaire. Stop. No, he's one of the reasons that I think he's, quote, happy, end quote, here is that he's supported. And people try to give him what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Even though some of the things where maybe he wants something and doesn't get it, it's not from a lack of effort to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen that at SC, at Alabama. Again, I always do this about Alabama because it kind of pisses me off a little sometimes because it's lazy. When people go, the only reason Alabama won under Saban is because they cheated. I'm like, that is absurd. That is on any intellectual level, that is absurd. It is absurd. Do you know how many programs I can point out that cheat, that don't ever win? I mean,
all the ones that never win.
Because we can, like, I'll start in alphabetical order. I mean, that is absurd. He was at Alabama long enough to see, okay, this is how this is done. And he's installed a lot of that at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it. And maybe you can't do it to the level financially in some places that Alabama can, or that Georgia can, or that Tennessee can, whatnot. He was at Tennessee for a year too.
But he's also incredibly creative.
Very. And he's open about it. Like when he says, hey, I've kind of felt like we needed to build a brand that was fun.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, his way of saying, I don't think the machine brand that Alabama had.
Party in the Sip was not a throwaway line. It was, let's try to make this. Yeah.
I mean,
fun.
I thought the SEC shorts thing the other day was funny. And I thought it was kind of right. Where the guy's making his wish and he's like, fill up the kegger. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of your reputation.
Yes. But he's trying to make the reputation be on the field and about the football in a way, not Grove. The problem with that was it looks too much like the 90s with the we're not snobs, we're better than you thing where you're getting your ass kicked.
Right.
That's the problem. And I'm not blaming SC Shorts.
I'm
just saying in general, that would be the, hell.
I mean, they steer into stereotypes because stereotypes are funny.
Yes.
They do a great job.
They do.
I laughed. It was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that if you get offended by that, you're taking this so seriously.
Their reads on Vanderbilt every single week have me laughing to points all the way back to last year when, I mean, it was maybe the hardest I laughed ever when they had the L's department and the Vanderbilt guy came in and started asking her about her kid's Little League baseball game. It was great.
It was great. I mean, it was great. It's genius. And they turned that around so fast.
Yeah.
It's one of my goals is to get that guy on the show.
Josh Sneed.
Josh Sneed. I have so many questions.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back in a minute, continue the conversation. First, Citizens Bank, you're not just an account number. You're a valued member of their community, and now if you find yourself in the market for a mortgage, there's another reason to give them a try. Whit Wilson, and you know in the mortgage space, now at Citizens Bank and ready to help you with your real estate goals. Stop by and visit 902 Sisk Avenue, Suite E in Oxford. Discuss your options with Whit or any of their experienced bankers who value your financial journey. Also, make sure you ask them about the School Spirit debit cards, how they donate an amount per every transaction to the local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents.
Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with a personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting and see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. Brought to you by Grenada Home Center. You got paints by Benjamin Moore, Pittsburgh Paints, Farrell Calhoun, flooring of any and all types, stone countertops, whether you're looking for granite, quartz, or anything else, window treatments from plantation shutters to whatever else suits your fancy. It's Grenada Home Center, 1301 Sunset Drive, Suite H in Grenada. Call them at 662-226-3127. Arnett's Fine Jewelry is a fourth-generation jeweler located in the old Lammon's Jewelry Building, North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. They basically have everything. expert jewelry repair, diamond engagement rings, wedding bands, stackable diamonds, genuine stone bands, pearls, and more. They've got super gifts for every occasion: birthdays, graduation, anniversaries. If your wife is expecting, Arnett's can help you find that perfect push present. They can also help you find an awesome gift for Christmas. At Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler. The College Corner is the place to go if you're coming up this weekend. You need to get some gear for Vaught Hemingway. They have the best Rebel gear in Mississippi, 4,000 square feet of it at the Oxford Commons location right off of Sisk Avenue. Plenty of parking. Their staff's going to have you in, out, ready in no time. So check them out, collegecornerstore.com. They also have 2 locations in the Jackson area. We're also brought to you by Wonderbird Spirits, Mississippi's only gin distillery. Wonderbird, located on Old Taylor Road between Oxford and Taylor, just minutes from the square. Wonderbird boasts a newly expanded 7,500 square foot state-of-the-art distillery operation on 20 acres of magnificent Mississippi farmland. Rentals for football game weekends just gone on sale. They're very limited. Wonderbird can accommodate private parties of various sizes. They offer a tasting room, grounds, bathrooms, and a catering room on site as part of their packages. It's wonderbirdspirits.com, info at Wonderbird Spirits, or you can call them 662-205-0779. Call Argent Welt's 401k advisory services team today. They'll conduct a complimentary no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your 401k plan. Mention you heard about Argent Wealth on BlueSky Live. You get 10% off your first year's fees. It's myargentwealth.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Johnson Hill Creamery. JohnsonHillCreamery.com is the place to go. You can order right there on the website. They've got plenty of tailgate packages. They feed 10, 20, or 40, depending on what it is you need. Everything from their spicy feta dips and pepper jellies to all their specialty trays. The charcuterie is my favorite, the grazing, the artisanal, sandwich, crudité, house crackers, assorted desserts, and plenty more. You also make it easy to pick up because you do that on Friday or Saturday. So even from 11 a.m. games, you got time. You got time to get it and have it ready for you on Saturday. They are located inside Chicory Market, so stop in any day and try any of their fabulous cheeses and different accompanying items. Or again, these tailgate packages, do all of it right there online. You can order directly from their website at johnsonhillcreamery.com. So given I'm going to have to give, you guys need to just let it go and calm down because you're helping with the bit. I got to give Matt Jones and KSR like a chef's kiss here because they said nothing really, really inflammatory whatsoever yesterday. I mean, Matt Jones was the one that gave Kentucky the best chance. And we're talking about homer media, if you will, even though KSR does a phenomenal job. I like a ton of stuff they do. And he says 22% chance of winning. So they still lose 4 out of 5 times in the Homer's prediction for the day. There's no huge claim there.
No.
At all.
That's 1 out of 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a plus 400 or whatever money line here. So chill.
This is about what Vegas has it as.
Yeah. So, but what happens is he does it in a way that he knows it's going to get some fans frustrated, even though the frustration was sort of minimal. But then what he's been able to do this morning, and this is great, I really appreciate it, is turn it in now and send a tweet out where he leads his show today with how salty Ole Miss fans are. I mean, it is just perfect. It is a content.
He went fishing.
It is an art form from a content.
He cast it, caught what he looked for, reeled it in, and said, look.
Because he only needs like 8 comments for the show today.
Yeah.
So he only needs like 5 or 6 to go, look how unhinged. And then there you go. It was fantastic. It was off and running.
I mean, is there a world where Kentucky wins the football game? Sure.
Yeah. Like almost any SEC football game, not including Mississippi State this season.
That's more than fair.
I don't know how State's going to get wins.
They're not. But I mean, if Ole Miss and Kentucky played 10 times, if we did the Hugh Freeze thing and they played 10 games, is it conceivable that Kentucky would win one of those games? Sure.
Kind of like Arkansas won the one that they would win against Auburn?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, Kentucky just played Georgia to within a point. They have good players. Pete's Pigskin Preview, which we taped last night, really good. It was all about Kentucky. We jumped right into Kentucky, watched a lot of Kentucky, Georgia. Kentucky's good. Mm-hmm. Are they as good as Ole Miss? No, they're not. Do they have talented players? They absolutely do. Are they well coached? Yes. They're not
They have one narrative to win the game.
They're probably not good enough up front on the offensive line to win the game. But they're good enough on the defensive line to
cause problems.
To cause Ole Miss's running game problems and to put Ole Miss into some 3rd and longs. And they do have some people that can get to the quarterback. And Vandegrift, this narrative that he sucks is bad. It's wrong. If you watch video, and I watched Pete break it down, and Pete's cheering for the Rebels, he points out where Vandegrift does some really good things. You see why Vandegrift was so heavily recruited. Berrien Brown is an explosive player. You have to worry about him everywhere he goes. The other kid, Dane Key, very good receiver who would play at a bunch of places. The running backs are efficient. They're getting one back this weekend who's kind of supposed to be their best back. They've got some guys on the back end on their secondary who are long, talented. They do a lot of things. They're good. So this will be easily the hardest team that Ole Miss has played this season.
I do think they're very similar to Oklahoma, actually. Yeah, I think that's not a bad comp.
With a better quarterback.
Yeah. Probably a little worse in some places talent-wise, but probably
Sure.
a little better quarterback.
Sure. So, it will be they're a hell of a lot better than Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest,
and
Georgia Southern. Kentucky would beat all 4 of those teams. So this will be an interesting challenge. And so is it possible? Yeah, sure. Am I betting on it? No, I'm taking Ole Miss to cover the line. But if you told me it was a 7-point game, I don't have a stroke like out of shock. I just go, okay, well, that's
again, Georgia beat them by 1 point.
1 point. Now, Georgia kind of decided, hey, we're going to play your game.
Mm-hmm.
And Georgia went into, we don't think they can.
Georgia played the one way Kentucky could win. But because Kentucky forced them into it.
They did.
They dictated tempo. And
they did. And Georgia just decided, okay, you want to have a boxing match? Let's have one.
Yeah.
And Georgia decided that, hey, going for the kill could lead to mistakes.
Yeah.
Let's not make mistakes. We think if we just do this long enough, they'll make a mistake. We'll capitalize on it. And that's exactly what happened.
They were the soccer team that went, we're not going to allow the counterattack. We're not going to do something dumb here and lose numbers. And
as Carson says all the time, sometimes you just park the bus, meaning you get a bunch of defenders back, you've got a lead, and you go, you're not going to score. Now, we're going to have the bus parked to the point where we're not going to score either, but you're not going to score, and we're content just winning the game. Kirby was never in that game going, I'm really worried about not covering. That didn't happen.
Yeah. Mark asking what Lane would prefer on Saturday, just a win. I don't think he cares how he gets it.
Yeah.
He's just counting surviving and advancing at this point.
I mean, style points just don't matter right now. Just needs to win games.
Oklahoma with Gabriel would at least been more interesting against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because you could have dictated a little more field position. I think Gabriel's overrated for in this world where he's some Heisman favorite, but he's damn better than whatever they had out there the other night.
Drew says the stadium comments got people going. What did he say about the stadium? I didn't listen.
It's not a hard place to play. Fans arrive late. It's quiet. You can win there. Blah 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 blah. Historically accurate comments that just hasn't been accurate the last 4 or 5 years.
But over the course of 20 years, that's basically accurate. Sure. Again, whatever.
It's Matt Jones for Kentucky Sports Radio. He had a goal going in.
It worked.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Listen, and Ole Miss people can get mad at me, but there's a segment of you that are so starving for disrespect right now.
And it's kind of hard to find, so you really got to go get it. And when you got to go to Kentucky Sports Radio to find someone who gave his Wildcats a 22% chance of winning the game, life's pretty good because that's.
Yeah, there's a segment that you are so thirsty.
Well, for disrespect. It's being fed by some media members because some media members are, by God, banging the disrespect drum if Ole Miss is not going to win the Galactic National Championship, Worldwide Championship.
Oh, there's one in particular that if I said right now, I don't think Ole Miss can beat the Chiefs, he would turn it into a podcast.
Mm-hmm. So
here's your gift. I don't think Ole Miss could beat the Chiefs. There you go. He's a hater.
You think Mahomes make a play late to pull it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just somewhere. Just be a struggle.
Those arm angles and whatnot.
The Chris Jones thing would probably become a problem.
That would be problematic.
Reese McIntyre's like, no. That feels wrong.
We might need to double him inside. I don't
Yeah.
think I could just handle that one-on-one. Doesn't feel like that.
That would create some issues.
The stadium is not built to be loud because it doesn't go up; it goes out. Yeah, there's an acoustics.
It was
thing
built a gazillion years ago.
Yeah, it's over 100 years old.
I mean,
I think
it is what it is. It's fine. I think it gets pretty loud in there.
It's kind of my favorite thing in the SEC period is the teams are in because they were in the 1920s, and the stadiums are loud or not loud because some architect in 1914 built a stadium a certain way.
Yeah,
he went up instead of out in 1914.
He probably was just doing what you did.
And
it was context.
He wasn't thinking, when they add on to this thing 6 times and there's 89,000 people in here, this thing's going to be a shit show for the opponent. Let me tell you.
It's one of the myriad of reasons when people pull down the George Washington statues, I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, is there no historical context at all?
Might have been thinking something different back in the day.
Avery says we're being disrespectful right now.
She's kidding.
I know. Believe me, I know Avery well.
Yeah, I know.
I read the sarcasm.
Yeah.
It's just there are a handful of people that are in the Ole Miss media sphere who are insisting on this narrative, and it's wrong. You're getting so much respect. Everyone believes in you, and most people nationally are cheering for you because you're one of the better stories.
The media thing is actually doing a disservice to the fan base because it's putting things in fans' heads that don't exist right now. It's creating a fan problem that is not there, is what's happening.
I know now. Look, I'm talking to Barrett Salee in 40 minutes for MPW Digital Extra. As much as Barrett's going to cheer, he would love to see Ole Miss in the playoff.
Yeah, sure.
Ole Miss is a fun story.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, like, people are doing the Tennessee's the media darling right now. Yeah, but they just won a big national game on ABC Saturday night. They
win the next 3 games, and you're going to be on the cover of every damn website there is.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're 7-0 when you get done with LSU,
Tennessee's a fun story right now. They've got this young quarterback that is phenomenal, who's probably going to win a Heisman one day, who's definitely going to be a first pick in the NFL draft if he stays healthy. They've got a coach in Heupel, who I think is a really good coach and who appears to be a pretty solid dude, who just beat his alma mater in their first SEC game at night in Norman, the whole deal. Tennessee's,
it was what it was.
If I'm a journalist, and I think I used to kind of sort of still might be, that's a great story. They got points. It's okay.
It's okay.
It was a good story. What was the more compelling story Saturday night? Ole Miss beating the living hell out of Georgia Southern or Tennessee going to Norman and winning?
You asked Roland about these uniforms, and his answer made tons of sense, which is simply Kentucky has no traditional uniform. They don't have a traditional aura around their program. It's not recognizable even regionally, really, and especially nationally with their uniforms. They don't have the suit that makes sense. But that doesn't mean you have to do it incorrectly. If you told me, hey, we're not going to wear our normal suits every time, but we need some new stuff, I'm still going to focus on the blue and the white and make sure we don't do anything dumb. So basically what it is, yeah, we don't do the same thing every time because nobody really knows it. We're trying to get an edge, kind of like Ole Miss has done, but we're also really bad at doing that. We suck at what we're trying to do.
Yeah, like
that's the answer.
The Pete thing last night, they're playing Georgia and they're wearing the grays. Things. And they're like, why?
Just like Ole Miss was why in their grays back in the day.
Yeah. It's just, what are you doing?
They wore them against Cam and maybe against Alabama. They only wore them like 2 or 3 times.
They went 0 for in them.
Yeah.
No, they
that's not indicative of the uniform.
No. They could have worn the Kansas City Chiefs uniforms and lost. Yeah, I don't know. I think when you I'm going to die on this hill. I think when you have uniforms as good as theirs, you just should stick with the basics. Because it's phenomenal. What
do you think they'll wear Saturday?
White on white with the blue.
So they'll wear clean uniforms.
The blue helmet, white on white.
Will Ole Miss wear some version of red since they're in blue?
No, I expect Ole Miss will wear some sort of powder.
Do you?
That's my guess.
Okay.
I'll be surprised.
Because I don't know. I would assume Ole Miss is going to wear red at home against Oklahoma because that's what's going to match the helmet the best. The Realtree helmet.
Okay.
So you still got powder for whatever
Yeah.
Because you get powder and powder helmet, and you get powder on white helmet. I don't think you're going to wear powder on the Navy helmet. That would be kind of weird.
Ooh, Grind says, after seeing Alabama's hockey jerseys, they should 100% have a black alternate jersey. Their fans would cardiac out.
They've never done that?
They played, I want to say it was Ole Miss in the Mike Shula era.
It was black, wasn't it?
No.
It was the houndstooth.
They put the houndstooth thing on the.
It actually looked good.
Collar.
I liked it. It was on the collar and the numbers.
It was a great look, and it was a shout out to Bear Bryant.
I really liked that.
And their fans just
that would have been
died. It was 2006.
It was. I was there. 2006.
Okay.
Because that was the only Ed Orgeron game in Tuscaloosa. Because remember, Ed only lost to Alabama 3 times by a total of 10 points.
Yeah.
He lost. Jamie Christensen kicked a field goal to beat them 13-10 here in 2005. 2006 was the overtime game when they stuffed Benjarvis Green Ellis on a 4th down that game in 2006.
I was there.
And 2007 was the Shea Hodge foot down high heel game.
I was there too.
So you covered 2 Ole Miss Alabama games.
I did. My boss was a big Alabama guy. We covered Alabama, by God.
Playing an Ole Miss team that was awful.
Roll Tide.
Okay.
And I'll say it. I was the best columnist at the paper, so they sent me to the Alabama games a lot. I covered a lot of Alabama.
Yeah. Houndstooth trim added to UA jersey to honor Coach Bryant, 2006.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I thought it looked good.
I did too. I really did. I thought it was.
They hated it.
Why?
Because it's tradition.
It's got the houndstooth on it. Okay. The lead of the Tuscaloosa News that day was some college football teams wear throwback jerseys to commemorate their past. The Crimson Tide doesn't really have that option. What are they going to throwback to, said the director of the Paul Bryant Museum. They wore white helmets for a while. Otherwise, the uniform hasn't changed much since the leather helmet days.
Yeah.
Oh, they would freak out about a white helmet, would they? What if DeBoer had come out in the opener with a white helmet with red numerals on the side instead?
They'd have lost it.
You think that would have affected his capital right there?
It would have diminished his capital dramatically.
Red jersey, white pants, but white helmet with red numerals.
It may have eviscerated his capital. If he did that Saturday and then lost the game, he would have no capital. He would have like the gross domestic product equivalent of like Ethiopia.
Changing everything. Saban's gone. And
no. I wouldn't want to be him.
Send him back to Washington.
I would not want to be him. He almost can't win.
They're predicting powder white for Ole Miss this weekend.
That's what I think.
And you save white powder white powder white for Georgia?
Sure.
It's interesting. Okay. All right, we'll come back and continue talking in a second. Before we do that, tell you about G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer medicine. Free prescriptions the same time each day, and it take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. You have everything you need it when you need it. When G&M, and they also transfer those medications. One phone call, they take care of the rest. So whatever you need, G&M can help. That's 662-236-2222.
Ginger says the bear didn't wear houndstooth. He wore plaid. That's what I always remembered, too, was it was plaid. All right, we're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners. It allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits, simply not available to other travelers. Get in touch with him. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you're probably not going to find on your own. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com. Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Andy can help. Andy Ludicky is a longtime franchise veteran, college football fan. He owns multiple franchises, multiple businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. It's myperfectfranchise.net, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net, or 404-973-9901. We've talked about the mailbag some today. It's brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously, so call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email Art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. Well, it picks up in the morning. They're brought to you by Kaiser Flooring. Locations in Oxford and Batesville, Kaiser Flooring provides outstanding quality flooring products and installation services to residential and commercial properties. Kaiser Flooring carries the best in hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and tile flooring, as well as carpeting. Their goal is to offer amazing and durable flooring products and superior services to make your life easier. They install your flooring quickly, deliver the best flooring experience possible. Learn more at kaiserflooring.com or call them in Oxford or Batesville. We're also brought to you by Meadowbrook Wealth Advisors of Raymond James that sponsor Pete's Pigskin Preview. They are a full-service investment team based in Jackson, providing financial planning and investment management to clients across the state and surrounding areas. Ryan Geary and his partners are a local team that utilize his strength and the strength and resources of a national firm to bring their clients an impeccable level of service. This includes access to investment strategies, portfolio managers, not available to all investors. To learn more, get in touch with them at 601-368-2215 or at ryan.geary@raymondjames.com. And finally, if you're in the Oxford area, the Mini Passers is coming up. Parents, you can sign up your 4- and 5-year-old to take part in their new programs called Mini Passers. Instruction will be led by former Ole Miss kicker Andrew Ritter. 3 straight seasons will be hosted at M-Trade. 3 straight sessions, I should say, will be hosted at M-Trade Park starting October the 13th. You can sign up for the 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 p.m. session. Cost is just $50 per participant. Visit oxfordparkcommission.com for additional details.
Podcast is brought to you by NE Spark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, Spark offers both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabytes. To learn more, register. That's nespark.com. They go all the way up to 2. The 100 Mbps is now 300 Mbps for the same price. So a lot of options there, personal or business related. That's nespark.com. Get connected. Stay local. Let's see. Had a couple things in here. Yeah, I'm seeing this here. It was mentioned in the stream about the houndstooth plaid situation for Bryant. I did a quick Google search, and it appears that Bear Bryant never wore houndstooth until after 1965, when the Jets general manager gave him his first houndstooth hat after Joe Namath was drafted by the Jets. So for the majority of his career, it was plaid, including the Time magazine cover that he's associated with. It was blue and white plaid checks, not houndstooth. That the small houndstooth pattern that Alabama associates with Bryant was very infrequently used.
I'm just going to tell you, Billy Bob in Demopolis, he don't know the difference. Just throw the damn ball to the tight end and run it.
He'd argue the hell out of it right now, though.
He would argue it, for damn sure. Hey, Coach, are you still there?
Are you still there?
Eli, is Coach still there? Why would he have left?
That's the best part.
He was there 10 seconds ago. No, he got up and he's gone. He's contractually obligated to do this stupid show. He's still here.
Eli's sarcastic biting is the best part of the show, when it's the major irritation that he comes down off of to just get there.
We go to John.
Chris Stewart doesn't now, though, right?
He does. He made the mistake of calling him. We'll be back with take calls for Coach Saban. And Chris died a small death right there.
That
it
sucks.
was brutal. And DeBoer, you could tell it just killed him. And Chris was like, the office pool, if you had this time. And Chris did
All you could do.
He tried, but the damage was done. Phew. It was like that day when I was in the elevator in Orange Beach. And I asked the lady when she was expecting. Oh, God.
Neal.
The longest elevator ride ever. I'll never do it again.
Pack of horses couldn't get you to comment now on it, no matter what. Could be holding a rattle and a bottle in the hand and not.
What I knew in that moment was they had just arrived for their vacation. I had just ruined that guy's vacation.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
That wasn't going to be over in 45 minutes.
No, I mean, I was getting to the car and leaving. I've never been happier to leave the beach in my life. Woo! Thank God this trip's over.
It's the ultimate hit and run. All right, out.
Laura's like, that sure was a lot of fun. And I'm like, I'm glad we're leaving. Brutal. Poof.
Oh, Jesus.
I had you offered me the ability to jump out of said elevator, I probably would have taken it.
You were in Orange Beach?
I think so. Oh, that guy, you saw him just slink. He just died. He's like, oh, God, there it goes.
Padres claimed a playoff spot last night on a triple play to end the game.
Saw that.
Pretty traditional one, just around the horn.
Manny Machado made a nice play.
They're fun. I don't watch them, but they're fun.
They should be, as much as they pay for that roster.
Point. It's money well spent. Braves got a win over New York last night, 5-1, to trim the wild card situation there in the National League. Trying to pull people back in.
Philly's already clinched the division, right?
Oh, yeah. Going away. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that.
I mean, she said to him, do I look fat? And at which point, what's he supposed to say?
That guy's such an ass. I mean, he's just ripping you to shreds right
because
there.
Because he clearly thinks I'm fat. Do you think I'm fat? He's like, I just want to go to the beach and have a couple of beers. I'm just glad to get away from my accounting job. Can we not do this?
I've been driving for 6 hours, and all I'm worried about is the fried oyster sandwich down at the deck.
Yeah. No fried food for us this week.
I'll have those mussels steamed, please. Thank you. All right, good.
I need to go on a diet, don't I? If I'm going to go on a diet, you got to go on a diet with me. It's the only way I'll be able to do it. He's just dying inside, going to make it. Oh,
you're fine. Okay, I don't know. That's good. What else coming tomorrow? So we got Revival, the whole slew of podcast.
It's if everything goes correctly. I've already talked to Justin Rowland, talking to Barrett Salee, and also AJ McCarron for MPW Digital Extra. Got Pete's Pigskin preview that's already in the can, as they say. We'll tape Butcher versus the dance instructor this afternoon. So yeah, another full Thursday.
Full Thursday.
We'll have a different schedule on Thursday because McCready and Siskey's going to be at 11 because I've got a basketball media op because everyone wants to read about basketball here in September.
You don't think that's true?
No, I don't. The diehard of diehards will read.
What's the Kentucky week?
It's true.
Symmetry.
Didn't think about it that way.
Where does Ole Miss play Kentucky in basketball this season?
Here.
Is it?
90% sure.
Okay. Just once. Yeah, they're not a two-time team. Because you got 15 opponents now.
Who sang Just Once? Was that Jeffrey Osborne? Or was that Luther Vandross?
I don't know. What are we looking up?
Just Once. The song Just Once.
Who do you think it is?
Oh, I was completely wrong. It's James Ingram.
Oh, of course. Who could forget?
That's a good song.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that on your iPad? Or your iPod?
It might be after this.
Okay.
I remember the song. As soon as you said Just Once, that was the song popped into my head. It's a good song.
Okay. All right. RebelGrove.com. Good bit of content. More coming as well. Full Thursday. We'll kick it off with Jeffrey in the morning, and we'll continue going all the way to Hand Raise Guys tomorrow afternoon as well.
I
for
love
that.
you, all of you.
What? Oh, yeah. All of you.
All of you.
All right. Have a good day. Ole Miss, Kentucky,
Just more
11
love,
o'clock
baby.
on Saturday morning. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow.